gonna get jazzy, sugar. Yeah, and hit it again. You got it, baby. Oh, now just feel that beat. We're gonna do some jazz isolation, starting with the head and working down. Here we go. Take it right and left. Right, left. Yeah, that's good. Look not to the right, the left, the right, the left, the right, the left, the right, the left. Now take it up and down.
Welcome to Bay Area Psychology 1996. We're beginning a new season, and I'm delighted you have chosen to be with us tonight. I can't think of a better launching point to the new year than to look at the role of fitness and recovery in our lives. Many of us finished off 1995 in a swollen physical stupor of holiday binging. In fact, it's estimated that the average person gains 15 extra pounds over the last 2 months of the year, and then spends the next few months attempting to regain physical equilibrium. Well, to help us regain physical and nutritional balance are Maxine Trainer, chemical dependency intern with House on the Hill, and Tisa Watts, nutritional and fitness consultant here in the San Jose area. I want to thank both of you for being with me tonight, and I could not resist but to open with that little inspirational clip from Jazzercise. And I have to ask, as a fitness consultant, there are probably times where people have been maybe afraid to engage your services because they might be afraid that if exercise in a formal way may mean something like we just saw, going to a class or having to...
Yeah, I would agree with that. A lot of people do have a fear of working out in group environments. That was a pretty horrifying tape, and I think that would put off a lot of people from exercise, but I try to encourage people to sort of explore the options. There's a lot of different ways that people can engage in finding physical fitness for themselves, whether it's in a group sitting or an individual thing, or a lot of different avenues for that.
Well, and I know, part of the natural instinct that a lot of us have after we have been through the last few months is to want to quickly make up for any damage, nutritionally, physically, that we may have done. A lot of us have spent time going to parties and maybe been more sedentary, have dropped whatever our physical regime is. What do you think, Maxine, in terms of nutritionally? Would you agree that people have probably overdone it in the last few months?
The holidays ruined my routine completely. I haven't been to the gym in a month, and I've missed my walking regimen, and I feel like it's time to get started again.
Okay, so you can really feel the difference.
Oh, definitely, definitely.
Okay. I wanted to focus a minute here on some of the props that we have brought, and I don't know which of the cameras could do a little focus here, but these are some of the things that when I was talking with Maxine about the types of foods and substances that tend to be difficult for a lot of us, and she thought of chocolate, and we have cigarettes, Marlboro cigarettes, with a lighter, of course. We have caffeine. We have Coca-Cola, and we have sugar. And so I thought what we do is spend a few minutes taking a look at, why these particular substances seem to be so difficult for people, and also to throw in that I read in the newspaper, I think it was last week, or maybe it's earlier this week in the Mercury News, about how maybe we have overestimated the fears of sugar, that in fact that sugar is in small quantities, just like drinking alcohol actually, in small quantities really isn't that bad for us. So I thought I'd throw that out and see what you think.
Well, I do know that caffeine and nicotine are both addicting drugs. They're classified in the pharmacology references, and it also states that when sugar is added to that caffeine substance, that is more addicting, rather it addicts faster and more completely, and it's much more difficult to kick. So your Coca-Cola, your coffee with sugar, or your mocha fancy coffee drink that you get at Starbucks, if you add sweetener to it, if you add sugar to it, you are getting a big dose of a drug.
Now, I imagine there are people sitting here listening going, oh, I love these things. I mean, if you take these things away from me, there's so much, they add so much quality to my life, you know, that these fitness people and nutrition people are so severe, you know, in the way they live. And I guess I'd want to address that to you, Tisa, that, you know, in reality, when you're living a nutritional life, I mean, does it mean that we have to eat grass?
I believe you have to find balance in all things, and that includes not being so severe with your eating habits that you're going to swing from one extreme to the other. So I encourage people to eat as healthy as they can, but I try to follow something of an 80-20 rule, which is I eat pretty well 80% of the time, and maybe 20% of the time I might enjoy some sugar or something and not feel bad about it, as long as I know that I'm exercising and eating well the rest of the time.
That's a good point. You know, I think that sometimes when we're talking about nutrition and we're talking about fitness, part of finding that balance is finding out what our normal is.
Yes.
One of the things I'd like to do is take a look at our normal blood sugar curve, and let's take a look at what it should look like. Emerson, there we go. Normal blood sugar curve. Well, it looks like that ideally that it stabilizes, it peaks, I guess, when we eat, if I'm understanding this correctly, and then it stabilizes for the next few hours. Is that accurate?
Now, this curve is from, excuse me, a 5-hour glucose tolerance test with a normal metabolism. And the peaks within 1 hour and then gradually wears off over time back to the normal state.
Okay.
However, people that have been chemically dependent, alcoholic, or involved in drug addiction of any sort, they have changed their metabolism. And often they are hypoglycemic. That is, their body handles sugar and other substances differently than the normal person.
Okay, so ideally, then I'd eat, and then I'd probably need to eat, what, 4 or 5 hours later to keep my blood sugar pretty consistent throughout the day? Is that
That's
about
the
right?
balance that Tisha was talking about.
Okay. Let's take a look at what it looks like when we're out of balance with a hypoglycemia. Okay, let's see. Can you explain this to us?
You'll notice that it goes much higher than the first curve. It goes clear beyond, well, the solid black line goes clear beyond 240 milligrams per 100 milliliters, and then drops more sharply than the normal blood sugar curve. This means that there would be a time of hyperactivity, the body would be more seriously affected by the sugar coming in, and then there would be a period of loss of energy, loss of strength. Fatigue sets in rather abruptly as the blood sugar curve declines.
So is that kind of like if for lunch I have a couple Mars bars and a large cup of coffee?
And
maybe
an hour
I'm
later,
really,
you're
I'm really
taking a nap.
hyperactive from it, and then I kind of want to crash out later.
That's typical.
That's right, and that's something when I teach nutrition classes that a lot of people are surprised to find out that you are supposed to eat small meals continuously throughout the day. A lot of people were raised to believe that, you know, 3 meals a day and no snacking is the way to control your weight or to achieve some weight loss, and in fact that's not true at all. And I think it really fits in with her model of maintaining sort of a equilibrium in your body, keeping a moderate level of blood sugar at all times.
Okay, so then maybe we have a couple of 2 or 3 meals a day and then a snack in between, something
Absolutely,
like that?
yeah.
Okay.
Usually 5 or 6 small meals a day is probably a more appropriate way to eat.
Okay. Now, in terms of what we do with our bodies, now again, you know, some of us join a gym and pay lots of money and maybe go twice. I know I certainly did that at the YMCA, supported them for a year. And I'm wondering about that. I mean, what's going on with people? Why do we do that?
Oh, this is great because we're experiencing that at my gym right now, where we're having a flood of people in the classes, and you know everybody's scrambling. They're all upset because they don't have their regular spots because of all the new people. But we all know that they'll disappear in about 6 weeks, and I've seen this happen again and again. And it's interesting. My feeling is that people give up before the miracle happens, and that is, in order for you to see enough of a change in your body through your efforts at improving your nutrition and attending a gym and doing aerobic activities, it takes about 6 to 8 weeks, maybe up to 12 weeks. And people frequently give up before they get there. And it's It's kind of, I feel for them because I think it's very discouraging and it sets up a pattern of, oh, this never works for me.
Okay.
I've tried going to a gym, I've tried the nutrition thing and it never happens, but I encourage people to stay with it for at least 8 weeks and see if they can notice the changes enough that will help keep them motivated.
Okay. That's a good point, and I'm sure that's true about changing our food too. That, you know, that idea.
Absolutely.
Well, okay, I've been eating well for 2 weeks, and I'm not magically.
And nothing's happened.
Yeah, I haven't lost 50 pounds, and I'm, you know.
So where's that box of candy for Christmas?
Yeah, well, I think that's right. Well, also, I think the reality is that taking care of ourselves is more time-consuming. I mean,
Yes,
I
it
know
is.
for me, you know, preparing my lunch and dinner and having to prepare my own breakfast, and then if I were, you know, were to be exercising, you know, then there's the taking of the gym clothes, or there's the taking of the tennis shoes to go for the walk, and you know, they're really, you know, when we look at what we do with our time, I think that it's something that, you know, we probably at some level think it's of value, but in terms of actually fitting it in,
Yes.
that's probably a difficult thing for people.
I think that's the truth of the matter, is that if people want to control what they're eating and use their nutrition and their exercise to lose weight, they have to accept that they have to take control of that entire process. That means you do the grocery shopping. That means you think about what you're going to eat that week. You think about how to pack your lunch at night, and you get your gym stuff ready the night before. Fewer excuses to fail. But it actually requires some investment up front. But what I encourage people to remember is that over time this becomes habit. It becomes much easier. You acquire enough clothes to go to the gym for an entire week without having to do laundry. You learn how to shop efficiently. So it does become easier, but it takes, I tell people, plan on investing about a month's worth of time into really figuring it out for yourself, personalizing your own exercise and nutrition routines.
Okay, and that's part of what you do.
Yes.
Is you sit down with somebody and you figure out what's going to work for them realistically.
Yes, and everybody is absolutely different, and this is another kind of an issue where a lot of people say, well, I heard this, or I tried this, or my best friend is trying X, Y, and Z. And I have to remind people that everybody is absolutely different. Even if it's your best friend is doing something, it may not work for you. And so people have to find what works. People may have kids, people may have jobs, people may have a lot of other responsibilities. And how do you find the time that will work for you and an exercise situation that will work for you?
Okay, that's an excellent point. Same thing with taking a look at our diet. You know, I think for a lot of us nutritionally, there's probably hidden things in our diet that we're probably not even aware we're taking in. And I know that, you know, with my history, there are times where I've probably been eating and didn't even notice I was eating, or it didn't really register that what I was eating was really making any kind of physical impact, because, you know, it was just 5 M&Ms. Well, I've never eaten 5 M&Ms in my life. A bag, okay, but a bag of M&Ms or whatever. But you sort of eat that, and then you sort of lose that in your consciousness. And it's amazing to me how many times people will say to me, I don't know how I gained this weight. I mean, I'm eating 3 meals a day, just like I always have. You know, and I'm still walking, and yet I've put on 20 pounds, and I don't know how that happened. And I think that's an interesting phenomena, how we can be going about our lives really out of touch with our bodies and what our bodies are doing. Have either one of you seen that?
Yeah, I call that unconscious eating.
Okay.
And one of the things that I have found to be really effective in my own situation, because I do that frequently at work, particularly if I'm bored or if it's a slow period, I just start to nibble, and before I know it, you know, everything in my office is gone. But one of the ways that I help bring that under control is to write it down. Because record keeping is non-judgmental. There's no value in whether you're good or bad about what you're eating, but rather it's just an objective record of what you've been doing.
Just sort of like keeping our checkbook.
Absolutely,
Okay.
and you look at it and you say, okay, now I know where I found that 20 pounds.
Yeah, it was in there.
Yeah.
We're going to need to take a brief break, and when we come back, we will learn more about our bodies. Stay with us.